What's up, you? No. What's up, DIY diehards? No, that's too long. What's up, diehards? Did you come here to learn some automotive DIY? Then you're in the right place. Now, I know what you're thinking. Why should I listen to you? Well, it just so happens I went to college for auto mechanics, and I actually worked as a professional mechanic for 10 years. So I could teach you some things and save you some money. Do we just become best friends? Yup. You wanna go do some karate in the garage? Yup. Awesome. Warning, working on cars is extremely dangerous. Proceed with caution. Work at your own risk. Your brake system is very hot when used. It is recommended that you do this with a cool car. Here's a list of the tools you will need and personal protective equipment. If you're sensitive to breathing in things, I highly suggest you wear a mask. You will get brake dust in your nose. With all auto repair, it starts with a good visual inspection. So we're going to start inside the vehicle first. Now, make sure you don't have this brake light on. We're not going to be focusing on the ABS, we're going to be focusing on this one. This is most likely due to your e-brake, parking brake, emergency brake, whatever you want to call it. So make sure if that light is on to disengage your emergency brake to see if it goes out. If it doesn't go out, however, best thing for you to do is to jiggle the handle on your emergency brake, because sometimes the ratchet assembly in there becomes loose, or the sensor, and if you can get that to go out, then that could be your problem. If your light is still on, then you're going to need to go under the hood and you're going to check your brake fluid. Make sure your reservoir is full. The brake fluid level sensor right there, so if it's really low, that will trigger the light in your dash. And you want to check all the connections you can see, like these connections going right into your ABS block. Make sure there's nothing leaking out of there, nothing leaking out of the master cylinder. Now resist the temptation to just dump a bunch of brake fluid in there, because you got some serious problems. If you have a large leak, most notably be a spongy brake pedal. Now, you're going to have to squeeze under your car and play detective. What you want to do is you're going to follow those lines that you saw from the top, and you're going to have to just follow them all the way to all four wheels. It's not fun, but the most obvious thing, you're going to see a translucent puddle somewhere. That's the easiest telltale sign that if not, you might be looking for a sweating brake line. And what that means, it's just going to look wet. Most likely, it's going to look pretty crunchy and rusty. And if you have one, chances are you're going to have others. And then once you get done doing that, you see all your lines are good. Like these lines look all good. So that's a crunchy brake line that was sweating from my Buick that burst while I was driving. And like I said, there was many. I changed all the brake lines and hoses. I'll probably do a video on that to show you everything I did. But if your lines are good, next thing you want to do is go to where your lines meet your hoses at all four wheels. Check those connections. You're going to check the banjo bolt. That's what connects your caliper to your brake hose. And you want to inspect your brake hoses. And what you're looking for is to make sure it's not dry rotted, there's any leaks or bubbles in it. So I'm trying to label everything as I go to help you better understand what I'm talking about. And now, after you get done with the hoses, you want to check your calipers in here. This is the caliper piston seal. They can leak. This is your bleeder screw where you bleed air out of the system. You want to check there. If that all looks good, then chances are you don't have a leak. Now we're going to be talking about checking the condition of your brake rotors and your brake pads. So you're going to check the surface of your rotors on both sides. You're going to be looking for chips, like that's the shiny part missing, or cracks. You'll see it if there's a crack there. You also want to look for dark spots or discoloration. That means your brake's been heating up and you got some problems. Or you want to look and see if it's wavy. You can feel it to the touch It means your rotors are warped and not around. Most likely you're feeling a pulsation. You also want to check the thickness of your rotors. Like these are pretty thick. You don't even have to worry about machining rotors anymore. They don't do it. Last few years I worked in the shop, our brake lathe just sat there and collected dust. Everything's just made to be replaced now. You also want to check the inside in between the two vents, make sure that's not cracked off. Now we're looking at the pads. You're going to be looking at the thickness of the pads. You want to look on both sides, not just one. You want to make sure they both look even, both have the same amount of life. These look about half. Now you've got warning indicators on some pads here. When it's about quarter life, that means you need brakes. So you can see that these pads are about half life. Now watch, compared to when I put the old pad to the new pad, you can clearly see here there's twice as much material than the old pad. So you want it to be nice and meaty like that. But these brakes, they wouldn't need to be changed. These are about what I call half-life. Now for you European import owners, you may have another reason that your red brake light is on in your dash, or maybe even your message center. This is a normal brake pad. It's got the friction material and the backing plate. But on your brake pads, now this doesn't go for all of them, because I don't know how they decided this, but you'll have a sensor in your pad, and that little white bar, that'll be hitting the rotor, and it'll be sending a signal via that connector, and that'll be triggering your brake light or in your message center. So you want to check and make sure, see if you're hitting that, or that connector is connected, or make sure the wires aren't frayed, because I have seen them snap off. There you have it. Part 1, visual inspection of brakes. Hopefully now you have a better understanding of what's going on with your braking system. So this is a good foundation, because in part 2, we're going to be talking about brake noises, sounds that you may be hearing while stepping on the brakes that you're wondering, what is that? So I'm going to go over that, and then part 3, we'll be talking about brake pedal feeling. What you may be feeling when you're stepping on your brakes that isn't normal. So stay tuned.